In the quiet fields of Drawsko, Poland, archaeologists have spent years uncovering a cemetery of the damned. These weren't normal burials. Bodies were found with sharp iron sickles pinned across their necks and heavy stones forced into their mouths. According to 17th century lore, these were vampire shields meant to decapitate the dead if they ever tried to rise. But in 2026, a groundbreaking study using isotope migration mapping proved something far more unsettling. These people weren't strangers or outsiders. They were local villagers' friends and neighbors who were turned upon by their own families. What did the people of Drawsko see in their loved ones that made them so terrified of their return? The real-world facts of these burials are chillingly precise. The sickles weren't just thrown in. They were placed so that the blade rested directly against the throat. If the body bloated or moved during decomposition, the head would be severed. The 2026 case study analyzed the dental enamel of skeleton 28/14, a woman in her 30s. The results were shocking. She was the first victim of a localized cholera outbreak. But because her symptoms were so violent and unnatural, the village believed she was possessed. The case study proves that the vampire burials were actually a desperate, primitive form of quarantine. They weren't fighting the supernatural. They were trying to pin down a biological monster they didn't understand. The myths of Drawsko tell of the Upura creature that dies in the day but walks the mists at night to drain the life from its own kin. Legend says the only way to stop an Upura is to feed it a stone or bind it with iron. In 2026, a team of acoustic archaeologists found that the specific placement of these graves creates a strange, resonant frequency when wind passes over. This Moaning Earth phenomenon likely fueled the myths. The wind through the locked graves made it sound like they were still breathing. The vampires of Drawsko remind us that fear is the most contagious disease of all. These people were buried in chains and iron not because they were monsters, but because their neighbors were afraid of the unknown. If you lived in a village where your neighbors suspected you were turning, would you run or try to prove your humanity? Let's discuss the psychology of the vampire panic in the comments. Subscribe to Chizu Mythos Studios for more secrets.